it would be inadequate for us not to also appreciate those who are from government, the state institutions, either openly or surreptitiously. We welcome you here. We appreciate your presence. Thank you very much for coming to this event, which is not going to take a lot of time, but just to gather to launch our 7 minimum electoral reform fundamentals that will sufficiently prepare our great country, Zimbabwe, for the next level in leveling the playing field of our elections and also creating a platform for a political democracy of our country, and making sure that we do not have disputed elections. Credible and undisputed elections have been a pipe dream in Zimbabwe. People have not been able to choose their own leaders. There was a fight between President Mugabe and President Joshua Nkomo. Joshua Nkomo left without this fight being resolved. There was a fight between Robert Mugabe and Edgar Tekere. Tekere left without this fight being resolved. There was a fight between Kempton Makamure and Robert Mugabe. Kempton left. This fight was not resolved. There was a fight between my own predecessor, Dr. Richard Morgan Tsvangirai. Both Mugabe and Dr. Richard Morgan Tsvangirai have left us. We still have that outstanding challenge of disputed elections. This is what we need to correct. This is what we need to remedy. Indeed, the history of disputed elections is common story. Within the region, on the continent, Zimbabwe is known for a testimony of elections that are disputed. That is part of what we need to resolve. It is within this context that we have learned that from 2018, when we had the election observation report, and our political election bodies sharing their perspectives on our election, we have been unfortunate that insufficient work has been done. There hasn't been any appetite to reform and correct all the boxes being ticked that we failed to make sure we put in place. As you know, bad politics corrupts good economics. Our country has been in this inextricable link between bad governance and disputed elections. As we speak, not only do we have a disputed and contested occupant of the president, we also have a disputed and contested electoral process. We also have a disputed and contested electoral program and landscape. Certainly, as we look at this crisis of disputed elections, which is the main source of our problems in this country, we need to find a common solution. The solution being our PREPARE document. PREPARE is our humble submission to say PREPARE as an acronym is pre-election pact on reform. This is a product of wide consultative programs with the citizens. We have listened to the voices of the war veterans. We have listened to the voices of the students. We have listened to the voices of labor, trade unions. We have listened to the voices of the women. We have listened to the voices of the church. We have listened across the board in the rural areas, traditional leaders telling us in their own perspective what they need to be seeing put in place. A lot of people complained, particularly those in ZANU-PF, when I mentioned the issue of the United Nations as a multilateral body to oversee and supervise our elections. But I got that from Manicaland, from one of the chiefs who told me, and I will not mention the name, who told me that ZANU-PF must be the last ones to complain about the UN running or supervising the election in this country. Because in 1980, we asked them to do it on our behalf, and the United Nations did a perfect job. So it's not something new, it's not something bizarre. This is coming from the citizens. And when I articulate the citizen voice, don't shoot the messenger. Please understand the substance of the message. It's not my story, it's the story of the Zimbabwean people, the citizens themselves, who are demanding this. As I indicated also, the International Electoral Observer Mission reports were very clear. NDI, RI, the European Union, the Commonwealth, the African Union, SADC. They had clear and well-articulated recommendations on what should be done to move our country forward. But if you look at it, not a single thing has been done to move the process forward. This is why we contextualize by coming here with our document, Prepare. Prepare is our humble submission to prepare for credible elections, to prepare for peaceful elections, but to prepare for undisputed, free and fair elections, to prepare even ZEC to respect what God says through his people, to prepare ZEC to be ready for the diaspora vote. We are waiting to see ZEC Canada, ZEC Australia, ZEC US, ZEC South Africa, ZEC Botswana, like we saw in Angola for the first time, like we saw in Kenya, like we are seeing in the rest of the region. All of the regional countries, they respect the diaspora vote. So for the 7 issues that we have, which are the 7 pillars, we have identified 7 fundamentals that we are saying this is our humble submission on the table to the people of Zimbabwe, to other stakeholders, on how we are going to resolve issues. This is our plan to rescue Zimbabwe. This is our plan to exit our country from this vortex of a political crisis. And we've identified 7 of them. Number 1, the right to vote. Number 2, the credibility of the electoral body and its processes. Number 3, timeous, real-time announcement of the result. We saw it in Kenya, it works. Of course, there are the issues here and there, but we must have people knowing the full result. We have the issue of the credibility of the voters' roll. We have the issue of the security of the voter. We have the issue of the security of the vote. We also have the issue of political freedom, in particular access to the media. We have issues that we have articulated and raised that we would want to go into without exhausting all of them. We also have a very important issue of the role of our institutions of the state, in particular our security services and the traditional leaders, because they are ours. They need to be respected, and we need to be very clear in terms of what we stand. Once the document is going to be launched and you have your copy, we are also going to make sure that this document is publicly published and widely circulated. We'll get this copy also to our parliament, we'll get this copy to ZEC, we'll get this copy to SADC, the AU. But more interestingly, we'll also make sure that all the other political players, I now understand that we have over 100 political parties in Zimbabwe, and we'll just reach out to those whom we understand to the political parties, and I'm saying those whom we understand. So we have those issues, and we're going to raise them with all the key national institutions, regional and international institutions.